Hello there, Scott Graves here from the On Track Music Guitar School in Salt Lake City, and it is time to talk about music theory, and that's what we're going to cover. This is the first video in the music theory series. Now, I must caution you, if you have not watched your Fretboard Essentials video, probably this music theory will be too big of a jump for you to take. So the first thing you probably want to do is make sure that you understand your guitar fretboard and how it works. View the Fretboard Essentials video, and that will help you. That's kind of a preliminary step to getting into your study of music theory. Now, what is music theory? Music theory is the study of how the musical language works, and it's the knowledge of scale construction, of chord construction, of finding key centers, knowing which chords are in which keys, the interaction of chords within a key. Those are all included in the study of music theory. As you study the Scott Graves guitar method for music theory, you will be applying your theoretical knowledge directly to the fretboard of the guitar, and it will help you to unlock the mystery of the guitar neck. And through practice, you will be able to master the guitar fretboard and arm yourself with an arsenal of techniques that will enhance both your technical and your creative abilities on the instrument. So it's a really big step to take as you move on in your career or your guitar playing endeavor. So anyway, so come with me on this journey, and I'm going to caution you right now before you start. The first few steps of music theory they're kind of technical. Most students, when they first start studying music theory, they kind of go, well, why am I doing this? But after you get into a few lessons of it, you really start to apply it, and you start to see how it's going to help you with your improvising and your songwriting and just your overall knowledge of music, and it becomes very, very enjoyable. So I encourage you to take this stuff seriously and have a lot of fun with it. There are PDFs available, worksheets that are available that go along with this stuff, and you really need to do those worksheets and work through the stuff in order to complete the music theory unit. So we are on the very first introduction to music theory, and we're going to talk about understanding the major scale. Okay, understanding the major scale. Now, what is the major scale? There are a couple things that the major scale is. First of all, if I did this, let me give myself an do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That is the major scale right there. That's the major scale. Now, the major scale is, there are a couple ways that you can think of it. In the key of C major, the major scale is the arrangement of natural notes from C to C. So if I just wrote down the notes starting with C, the natural notes of the musical alphabet, went C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I played those on the guitar, that would be a C major scale. So if I did that, here's a C major scale on a graph right here. If I started with this note on the 8th fret 6th string, that's going to be a C, and I did this pattern, I would come out with that do, re, mi sound. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And that would be the C major scale on the guitar neck. If I put it on a staff, for those of you who know how to read music, which you don't have to know how to read music on a staff in order to understand music theory, but for those of you who do, this is what it would look like on the guitar staff. I would just start on this C, and I would go line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, until I hit a C, like climbing up the ladder. And again, that's going to give me that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do sound, okay? That sound, the do, re, mi sound, is really what the major scale is, okay? It's that do, re, mi sound. If you're not having that do, re, mi sound, then you don't have a major scale. Now, I'm going to look at a couple other things here. I'm going to change this graphic around a little bit, get rid of this right here and this right here. I'm going to put my, going to go up to these letters. So this is the C major scale right here. I'm going to show you a couple things about that. Here are my natural notes for the C major scale. Okay, there are 7 notes there. And the first note, the starting note, is the root. Okay, so that note right there is the root of the scale. That is also scale degree number 1. Each one of these notes is called a scale degree. This is scale degree number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now notice that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then after I get on to B, scale degree number 7, I start over on C. Now this, I can call this scale degree number 8, okay? But it is also the same as scale degree number 1, and that is the root or the tonic of the scale. That's the root or the tonic of the scale. So here's our C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This is scale degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Again, that gives me the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do sound. Okay, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's called solfege or solfeggio. Okay, so that's a C major scale. Now, what makes that C major scale sound is the relationships of these notes to one another. So in other words, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at how far these notes are apart from each other. If I look at C to D, from scale degree number 1 to scale degree number 2, that distance in music is a whole step. C to D is a whole step. Now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about C to D being a whole step apart from each other, you have to see the Fretboard Essentials section of the video series because you're going to have to back up or you'll be confused. But for those of you who are ready for this, C to D is a whole step, right? Okay. Now let's look at scale degree 2 to 3 in the C major scale. Scale degree 2 to 3 is a whole step, okay? D to E, that's the distance of a whole step. Now let's look at E to F, which is scale degrees 3 to 4. E to F is a half step apart from each other, so that distance from scale degree 3 to scale degree number 4 is a half step, okay? 1/2 step or 1 fret away from each other. F to G is a full step. G to A is a full step. A to B is a full step. And then now from B to C, scale degree 7 to scale degree 8, there's another half step. Okay? So that's a half step apart from each other. So that means that our major scale sound is really this pattern of whole steps and half steps. If I put a finger on any note on the guitar and start it from this point, and then I moved up a whole step, half, whole, half, I will have the sound of a major scale. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take a guitar here. Okay, it's a classical guitar. I'm going to put a note right here. Oh, well, I'll do it on C. Start here. Here's C. Okay, if I start on C, that's scale degree number 1, and then I go up a whole step, and then another whole step, and then a half step, and then a whole, and then a half. That gave me the sound of the C major scale. So I started on 1, and I went whole, half, whole, half. And that gave me that do, re, mi sound. If I alter that distance in here, at any point, any way, shape, or form, I will no longer have the C major scale. I'll no longer have a major scale sound. If I went whole half, it would immediately throw it out of that do, re, mi sound. So if I went, all of a sudden I'm going, no, that ain't the major scale. That throws it way off, okay? So what the major scale is the arrangements of whole steps and half steps in this pattern, whole, half, whole, half, from any given point. If I wanted to do this in a different key, if I wanted to do it in the key of F, and I started here on this F right here on the 6th string, and I went from there, and then I go 1, 2, 3, and then from 3 to 4 put in the half step, 4, and then up to 5 a whole step, up to 6 a whole step, to 7 a whole step, and then a half step from 7 to 8. That is now an F major scale. Now when I did that in the key of F, my letter names are going to be different up here, but that pattern still remains the same. Whole, half, whole, half. I can do that from any starting point on the guitar, and what I do when I'm doing that up the neck is I count the scale degrees. I count the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I just remember that whenever I'm on 3 I go a half step to 4. So if I'm on number 3, I go up a half step to 4. If I'm on number 7, I go a half step to 8. Every other place, I'm going to go a whole step. So I'll do that in F one more time. If I was in F, I'd go 1, whole step to 2, whole step to 3, half step to 4, whole step to 5, whole step to 6, whole step to 7, half step to 8. And that gives me the sound of the major scale now for that key, for that starting point, F. Now those letter names changed, and we're going to talk about that in the next video. But for right now, this is a very introduction here, and that's kind of an introduction to what the major scale is. So practice that from a couple of starting points on your guitar. Try it from the first fret on the 6th string, the first fret on the 5th string, the first fret on the 4th string, maybe the 3rd fret or 4th fret on some of those strings, and see if you can get that major scale sound to work up going up the neck. Okay, so do that right now, and then come back and watch the next part of this video. Happy theorizing, everybody.